told me it was a simple job. 12 hours. One shift. All I had to do was sit, monitor the feed, and report if anyone came near the gate. They didn't say what was inside. Didn't tell me who used to work there. Just gave me a laminated badge, a walkie, and a key. "You won't need the key," the guy said, grinning as he passed me the little metal tag. "The door only opens from the inside." I laughed. He didn't. The bunker was 3 hours up from the main road, one of those concrete slabs half swallowed by the mountain. Old Cold War shit. Left to rot. But this one still had power. A single generator in a shed out back. Cameras installed less than a year ago. Fresh wiring running into rusted frames. It didn't make sense. But I didn't ask questions. It was good pay. I parked by the outer gate, buzzed myself in, and descended the short metal stair into the entry tunnel. The door at the end was massive. Steel. Heavy. With a turning wheel in the center that clanked when I tried it. Locked. I tapped the badge on the scanner. Nothing. Just a faint red blink. Then. Click. It opened. From the inside. The air inside was cooler than it should have been. Dry. Filtered. Like the place hadn't had a visitor in years, but the ventilation was still running. I walked past 2 empty checkpoints. Old desks. Phones. Terminals blinking sleepily like dogs waiting by a window. In the main room, the feed station. 6 screens. 3 working. One showing the gate I just passed. Another showing the hallway I just came through. And the third, an overhead of the lower level. No lights down there. Just darkness and a green-tinted layout of bunk rooms, labs, storage wings. I found the schedule pinned to the wall. 12 a.m., check-in. 3 a.m., radio pulse. 6 a.m., lock rotation. Simple enough. I sat down, put my thermos on the desk, and watched the monitors. For the first hour, nothing moved. At 1:47 a.m., the third screen glitched. Just for a second. A flicker. Then a figure. Standing in the far hallway of the lower level. Head tilted. No movement. Too far for detail. Then the feed blinked. And it was gone. I sat forward. Rewound. Nothing. The footage showed only darkness. I tapped the console. Got up. Walked to the stair access. The metal door to the lower level was locked. I tried the badge. Nothing. I tried the key. Didn't fit. I called the check-in number. No answer. Just static. Then. A single knock from below. 1. Heavy. Deliberate. I stared at the stairwell door for a full minute before I moved. 1 knock. That was it. Not frantic. Not repeated. Just, intentional. Like someone wanted me to know they were there, but not yet. I radioed base again. Static. No beep. No response. I flipped channels. Tried the emergency band. Even the test tone. Nothing but the soft hiss of empty air. Back at the console, the screens were normal again. The hallway feed was still dark. But now I noticed something else. The timestamp. It was frozen. 2:09 a.m. I checked my watch. 2:14. The video feed was lagging. Or looping. I started checking the logbooks. Old papers. Shift records. Most of them blank after 2007. But in one of the drawers I found a folder labeled Shift Echo. Inside were 6 pages. Each dated each listing an incident, and each ending the same way. Monitored unknown audio signature. Confirmed no breach. Visual anomaly not recovered. Guard reassigned. One page had a name underlined in red ink. R. Simons. I remembered that name. He was the last guy to work this post full-time. Retired suddenly. No one said why. On the back of the page, in a different hand. Do not follow the sound. If the lower door opens on its own, leave. 2:17 a.m. Another flicker on the third feed. This time not a figure. A door. Opening. But not the one at the top of the stairs. The one beneath that. Deeper than I thought the place even went. A hallway I didn't see on the map. No sound. Just movement. Like someone was walking through the dark with absolute memory of where they were going. And then, my radio clicked. Once. Twice. Then a voice. Low. Calm. Mechanical. Do not descend. You are not cleared for contact. I froze. Not because of the words. Because of the tone. It sounded like Simons. But I never met him. Only heard his voice once, on a training tape. And yet I knew it was him. And the static that followed? It wasn't static. It was breathing. Long, wet. Uneven. From something that didn't quite understand lungs. I turned off the radio. Unplugged it. And from the hallway. Somewhere past the checkpoint. Another knock. This time not from below. From the inner door. The one I came through. And I remembered the words. The door only opens from the inside. I didn't open the inner door. I wanted to. Everything in my body said, get out now. Rip that latch open, sprint up the stairs, and don't stop until the tree line. But the wheel lock on the door, it was already turned. As if someone inside had let me in, and then turned it shut again. I tested it gently. It didn't budge. Sealed. And that's when I noticed it. A small strip of black tape at the base of the door, just above the floor. It had a word written on it in faded white marker. Don't. I backed away. The air around the door was colder now. Not draft cold, machine cold. Like the hallway had been unplugged from time and left in storage. I returned to the console. All three screens were black now. No signal. No flicker. Just black rectangles humming faintly. Except the third one. It flashed once. Then showed something new. A feed I hadn't seen before. Archive 3B, Secured Materials / Simons Locker. The camera was looking at a narrow metal room. Lockers lined the far wall, one of them pried slightly open. Inside, a uniform jacket. A name tag. A folded note. And a recorder. One of those old-school dictaphones with the red button half-worn from use. I hit the intercom key, tried the PA system. Simons? If you're still here. But my voice echoed right back through the console. The system wasn't broadcasting. It was playing back. And then the tape played. It waits between the shifts. That's what I figured out. It doesn't live here. It just remembers. And it needs you to remember, too. Every time the lights flicker, every time the feed stutters, it's opening a door. And it wants to know if you'll walk through. I didn't. Not all the way. But I left it something. My voice. My breath. Maybe that's all it needs. He laughed, dry and hollow. If you're hearing this, you're the next door. So close it. While you still can. The feed cut out. Static. Then something else. A high-pitched ring, like a feedback loop from an empty mic. But below it, barely audible, footsteps. Marching. Slow. Steady. But not from the feed. From the vent beneath my desk. I knelt. Looked inside. Dark. Silent. Then, a red light flickered on deep within the shaft. Like something had blinked. I scrambled up and shut the vent. Grabbed my flashlight. Backed into the hallway. And that's when I saw the note taped to the stairwell door. It hadn't been there before. A torn page. Old. Wrinkled. In Simon's handwriting. If it calls you by name, don't answer. And below it, in fresh ink, it already knows mine. I didn't plan to go down. That was never part of the job. But when the lights above the stairwell flickered and the lock on the lower level door clicked, on its own, I knew the choice wasn't mine anymore. Something had invited me. Or maybe it had just opened the invitation Simon's left. The stairwell descended farther than I expected. 30 steps. Then a landing. Then 30 more. By the time I reached the lower level corridor, the air had changed again. No longer cool and mechanical. Now it was warm. Stagnant. Like breath that had nowhere to go. The hallway stretched out in both directions. Left led to the barracks, bunk beds and lockers, some still with linens. Right led deeper. No signage. No map. I turned left. Shined my light through the rooms, each one more decayed than the last. Dust everywhere. But not undisturbed. There were footprints. Bare. Human. Leading from one of the bunks to the hall, then back again. Like someone had been pacing. I found the locker from the feed, Simon's, still slightly ajar. Inside, his jacket. Folded. On top of it, the recorder. Still warm. Like it had just been playing. But no batteries. I picked it up anyway. And it clicked. By itself. It watches from the places we think are empty. It needs voices. It needs patterns. It needs to be remembered. I stayed too long. You're already staying too long. Then static. And a whisper behind me. You're not him. I turned. Flashlight shaking. No one. Just the corridor behind me, stretching out too far, longer than I remembered. I started walking back toward the stairwell. But something was different. The hallway shifted. Subtly. The ceiling was lower. The walls narrower. The air thicker. And the lights above buzzed in a way I hadn't heard before. Like speech just outside recognition. I reached the stair door and turned the handle. It didn't move. Not jammed. Just gone. The metal had no seam. No handle. Only smooth wall. That's when I realized the hall wasn't just different. It was wrong. Too long. Too curved. And I was hearing breathing again. But not from behind me. From within the walls. Short. Shallow. Like someone hiding inside the concrete. And then. A knock. Soft. From inside the wall. Right beside my ear. Followed by my name. Tom. The voice was almost right. But not quite. Too high. Too soft. Too eager. And then, right in front of me, a metal door slid open with a long, scraping whine. Darkness inside. But not empty. I could see a shape. Curled. Moving. And a voice, not mine, spoke from the dark. We remember you. I didn't go through the door right away. The shape inside moved like it was breathing, but it made no sound. And the light from my flashlight didn't touch it. Not really. It was like the beam slid around it, refusing to define its edges. A human outline. Curled on the floor. Head tilted toward me, like it had been waiting for hours. Then it spoke again. "We remember you." But it wasn't just one voice. It was many. Layered. Echoing slightly out of sync. I heard Simon's. I heard the man who trained me over the phone. I heard my own voice from earlier that night. Check-in complete. No activity at gate. That's what I'd said into the mic at 12 a.m. It said it back to me. Almost lovingly. Check-in complete. I stepped back from the doorway. Something about the voice felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Like a mouth with too many teeth, speaking with a memory of how language was supposed to work. The hallway behind me had changed again. Where there'd once been walls, now, only shadow. Shadows that moved when I didn't. And that same wet breathing. Closer now. Following. I turned and ran. I don't remember how many turns I took. The corridors looped in impossible ways. Rooms repeated, bunks, storage, the mess. But every time I re-entered one, something was different. A photo flipped upside down. A faucet running with no sink. A uniform jacket laid out perfectly on the floor like someone had vanished straight out of it. And in each one, a sound. Faint. Repeating. Recordings. I found the source in what looked like an old control room. Dust-choked monitors. And 7 tape recorders. Each one looping a different voice. "He left me. Don't go. They locked it from the inside. Where's my name? It can't speak unless it hears itself. And finally, mine. I think I'm being watched." I never said that out loud. Not until now. And yet, the voice was unmistakably mine. Then the lights cut out. All at once. Not a flicker. Just black. And from the ceiling came a sound like chains uncoiling. Metal grinding. Footsteps descending from nowhere. I crouched behind the console, breath held, every muscle trembling. And then, right beside my ear. "We kept Simon's." I turned on my flashlight. The beam lit nothing but the floor. No feet. No body. But a shadow stretched out from nowhere. And at the end of it, 2 handprints. Pressed against the concrete. As if someone was crawling, just ahead. The handprints were warm. I don't know how I knew that. I didn't touch them. Didn't get close. But something in the concrete shimmered faintly in the flashlight's beam, like condensation on living skin. And then they moved. Not forward. Not away. Down. Like the weight behind them had sunk straight into the floor. I backed out of the room. The tape recorders still looped, quietly now, as though embarrassed they'd been overheard. "Don't go. We kept Simon's. Where's my name?" The corridor outside was quiet again. No flicker. No knock. Just a hum, low, constant, as if the building itself was thinking. And then a new sound. A voice. But not from the speakers. From inside my own headset. I hadn't touched the radio in hours. Hadn't even remembered I was still wearing the earpiece clipped to my collar. But now. "Tom." Soft. Almost kind. "You brought it with you." I yanked the earpiece off. Dropped it. But the voice didn't stop. It wasn't in my ear anymore. It was in my head. I ran again. Didn't care where. Didn't count the halls or the doors. I just ran until the walls opened into a new room. One I hadn't seen before. It looked like a debriefing space. Rows of chairs. A projector. Everything covered in sheets that looked damp. And in the center, a mirror. Tall. Freestanding. Too clean. No dust. No age. No reflection. At least, not at first. Then the surface shimmered. And I saw myself. But not me now. Me from earlier. Sitting at the console. Drinking coffee. Listening to the first tape. A playback of something that hadn't happened yet. And behind my mirrored self. A figure. Not clear. Not human. Tall. Unfinished. Watching. Learning. The mirror cracked. Not from a blow. Not from heat. It cracked like skin drying too fast. A fissure down the center. And from within it. A sound. My voice. Check-in complete. No activity at gate. Then another. Simon's. Then another. Her. Someone else. Someone older. Someone dead. I turned and ran again. But the hall behind me had changed. It wasn't concrete anymore. It was metal. Polished. Featureless. And I saw myself reflected in the walls now. Dozens of times. All of me watching. None of me blinking. And then, as I reached the final hallway, a door appeared. One I recognized. The exit. The very first door. The one I entered hours ago. It was open. And I knew. I never opened it. The door was open, but not all the way. Just wide enough to see the snow outside, the fence line, the shape of my parked car glowing softly under the lot light. I stepped forward, slowly. Every part of me screamed run. But the air was wrong. Too still. Too clean. Like the outside was waiting to prove something. I reached the threshold. Put my hand on the frame. And heard it again, so close I thought it came from behind my teeth. Don't leave it here. Then the radio on the console behind me clicked on. A burst of static. And a voice I hadn't heard in days. My supervisor. Tom. You're late checking in. Everything okay up there? I stared at the open door. Felt the wind on my face. Heard the buzz of the floodlight. Yeah, I whispered. I'm fine. You're still on schedule, right? You remember what today is? I paused. Something shifted. The wind didn't feel like wind anymore. It felt like breath. And the light outside? Flickered, just once. Like it wasn't light at all. Your 12-hour shift ends in 20 minutes, right? I didn't answer. Because I didn't remember starting 12 hours ago. I remembered entering the facility. But not what day it was. Not how long I'd been inside. Not even what month it was. I turned back toward the console. The screens were on again. But they didn't show the bunker. They showed me. From behind. Walking down the hallway. Opening doors. Touching walls. And behind me in each image. The figure. Closer every time. Never quite touching. But always watching. Then the screens changed again. To names. Pages of them. Like a roster. Each one labeled by date, shift number, and a word. Remembered. And at the very bottom, blinking softly. Thomas K., shift 07, remembered. Below it. Shift 08, pending. The radio clicked again. Same voice. But no longer asking. Thank you for your service, Thomas. Shift 8 is inbound. Please remain present. The door slammed shut. The locks turned. One by one. Behind me. And the voice inside the walls whispered. You were never the first. But you might be the last one to leave with a name. I stopped trying to open the door. It wasn't locked anymore. It was gone. There was a wall now. Same concrete. Same paint. No seam, no handle, no difference. Like the entrance had never existed, just a memory the building let me borrow until I stopped being useful. The monitors stayed on. Still showing me. Still showing the halls. But I wasn't on them anymore. At least not in real time. The feeds were looping moments I'd lived hours ago, maybe days. One showed me sitting at the console. Another, me walking past the lockers. Another, me turning toward the stairwell. And in every loop, that figure followed just a little closer. 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 Until I was gone. Replaced. A new man entered on the feed. Younger. Different build. Wearing the same badge I wore. Carrying the same thermos I lost on the second night. And when he reached the console, when he looked up at the camera, he smiled. And the shadow behind him smiled too. I wandered the lower level. Didn't run anymore. There was nowhere to go. The halls reshaped themselves every time I closed my eyes. Rooms I'd never seen appeared and disappeared. Sometimes they were filled with furniture I remembered from my childhood. Sometimes just with mirrors. Each mirror showed me as I was. But older. Tired. Faded. And in one, I wasn't there at all. Only the voice. You can leave. But not with your name. I tried to record what happened. Wrote on old walls with chalk I found in a supply closet. But every time I came back, the messages were written in someone else's handwriting. Sometimes, in mine. Only off. Like someone copying it from memory. Eventually, the recorder worked again. Only once. I pressed play. And a child's voice came through. I saw you once. You were outside the gate. Then inside. Then gone. You brought it with you, you know. You always do. It never really stays here. Just waits for someone to carry it further. You were the perfect shape. I don't know how long I've been here. The clocks don't tick. The lights don't dim. Only the shadows stretch longer when I think about home. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I feel warmth on my face. Sunlight, maybe. But then I hear the voice again, reminding me. There's no sunlight here, Tom. Only memory. And now, as I sit at the console, writing this, I hear the gate opening again. Another guard. Another shift. Another shape it wants to try on. And as the feed flickers, as the door opens from the inside, I whisper, for the first time in days. Don't answer it. But he won't hear me. He never does. Not the first time.